All right, boys, we did it again. We've made it to the main event. We got Derek Brunson going in here against the guy that really can talk, Kevin Holland. I believe it is Cody up on this one. Cody, can you get us started?
All right, so we do shows every Friday. You guys know me by this point. It's like as much as you can break down a fight and find, there's always like that lingering gut feeling. Sometimes it makes you switch a play. Sometimes you just can't quite figure it out. It's the Brunson thing, man. So again, all week we've been talking just like this Gillespie fight, right? Derek Brunson is an excellent wrestler. He gets down pretty much all of his opponents. If he wants to get you down, he can get you down. Kevin Holland gives up takedowns in almost all of his fights, right? The other thing with Kevin Holland is looks awesome knocking out Jacare in the first round, looks awesome knocking out Charlie Ontiveros in the first round, looks awesome taking out Anthony Hernandez in the first round. That Darren Stewart fight is massive cause for concern, man. That's the first time he at least has to go into the third round, and he gasses out. And that's actually a theme in prior fights is like the longer it goes, his cardio is not great, his takedown defense is not great, and then he kind of seems lost. But it was like the UFC releases like, oh, that's why they call him like a talk. I'm sure you guys watched it, right? And it's just him shit talking from the Contender Series until present day. I didn't know how I felt about that, you know? I think it's a lot like there's nerves, there's anxiety, and that's his way of like shaking it off, you know? He like buddies with you. Like he's talking. He's not mean to any of those guys. He's not Nate Diaz slapping you in the head and being like, what, bitch? Like that breaks you a little bit. You talk to Donald Cerrone. He says it the best in the Nate Diaz fight. He's like, dude, I'd hit this guy a few times and he just like give me the finger and slap me in the face. Like it was extremely demoralizing. Kevin Holland just seems like he's out there having a good time. He's playing around a little bit. Oh, actually, a lot of those sound clips, you see Herb Dean clapping, like tell him to shut up, like fight, like stop talking, fight. So I was like, okay, interesting enough. But then the weigh-ins, it was the same. I got that same feeling. I didn't pull the trigger on McGregor versus Poirier, right? Where the narrative going in is McGregor's already knocked this guy out. They don't like each other. That's why they're building up this rematch. Connor's extremely motivated, wants to put his name back out there. And he gets to weigh-ins, and they're just like, hey, man, we're getting paid tomorrow. And it was like a buddy atmosphere. And he goes out there. He didn't have the aggression. He fought a different style. Poirier capitalizes on him. Seeing him come in there, it's like Brunson's a guy that keeps his chin way up, and he tends to get a little emotional and run straight into the pocket, right? He doesn't have great footwork. He doesn't cut great angles. And again, he tends to leave his chin up. All the guys that have beaten him have not, except for Anderson Silva. He got robbed in the Anderson Silva loss. He got robbed in the Kendall Grove loss. Everybody else has knocked him out. He's been knocked out 5 times. But again, who's knocked him out? Israel Adesanya? No big deal. Jacare twice? No big deal. Yoel Romero late in the third in a fight he was winning? No big deal. Robert Whittaker? It's like, oh, shit, dude. So he's only lost to the best guys. The guys that are below that, he takes them down, and that's very prevalent in this 3-fight winning streak. Elias, whatever. He takes them down a few times. Elias is not with the promotion anymore. Sure. Heinisch, Heinisch is a fringe 15 guy. Sure, whatever. Shabazian, Shabazian's young. You can make excuses that these guys aren't to the same level, that these guys aren't up to snuff. It's how he beats them. Smart game plan. Goes out there, takes them down. The Shabazian fight is the underdog. Everybody thinks, oh, dude, guy keeps his head up in the air. He's gonna get knocked out by Shabazian, who's some magical striker all of a sudden, and is the soup du jour, and everybody likes him. He's got a lot of hype behind him. But Brunson just goes down to meat and potatoes and gets the takedown. He's 37. I wouldn't say he's in the prime right now. It's that he's got the proper skills. He's got the right game plan to go out there and win a fight. With Kevin Holland goes out there, he knocks you out. Great. If this thing extends round 2, round 3, round 4, is Kevin Holland's cardio there? Is it all of a sudden a lot better? And watching those replays, you see him talk all that shit to Thiago Santos, but it's pretty clear in that fight. It's like he gives up takedowns. He's got nowhere to go. Jacare goes 2 for 2 in the takedowns. He had nowhere to go. He gave 6 takedowns up to Gerald Mearshart, and by the way, flat out gassed out. So there's a lot of holes in his game, but we overlook it because he's really entertaining, and the win over Jacare was dope. Not only does he knock out Jacare, but he threatened him with a triangle and a standing guillotine, immediately threw up his hips as soon as he hit the ground. I thought his ground game looked a lot better. Turns out he was awarded his black belt. But Brunson's never been submitted, so what are you going to do? Throw up some submissions off your back, scramble, get back up? What if he just takes you back down? You're going to talk some shit off your back? I don't know. But again, that goes back to the buddy at the weigh-ins. Had he gone out there and really put it to Brunson a little bit, maybe made him scared, maybe just give him a little bit of fight anxiety. Okay, I'm going to catch this guy. I'm going to intercept this guy coming in. I'm going to talk this guy, piss him off, bait him into fighting me a little bit, catch him with a shot. But instead it was just like, let me smack your ass. You smack my ass now. It's like, dog, I'm done. I'm off this one. I'm taking Derek Brunson. And I mentioned this a lot last night. In a 3-round fight, I got Brunson all day. In a 5-round fight, I had this sense where it's a lot of fight time, man. Brunson probably slips up at some point. Maybe he gets caught later in the fight. But then going back to the narrative that Kevin Holland doesn't have a great gas tank. So, like, look at the Darren Stewart fight, right? And how it ends in the 3rd. And tell me 2 more rounds. What happens? You know, like, he's in it. He's definitely in it. Brunson's a much better wrestler, has much better cardio. And last but not least, Brunson, in spots of his career, has kind of dicked around with his training, right? And in the last couple of years, he has his own gym, Brunson's Mixed Martial Arts in North Carolina. This guy's best days are behind him. But then he moves to Stanford MMA, and it's like he looks reinvigorated. His striking looks a lot better, even though he's not using it a whole ton. But it's like he's fighting the proper game plan. He's in shape. He's motivated, and he's getting good sparring in against best guys in the world. And that's got to be a confidence boost as well. So I think Kevin Holland liked the guy, but I think everybody likes the guy. And the UFC's promoting the shit out of him. You know, check out this video, check out this soundbite, check out this interview. Like, it's building up a hype. But like, why can't the wrestler just go out there and take him down? So, man, like, I hate to switch the pick. I really do. I don't even know if I'm like officially want to switch the pick. But as you can see, I'm super flippy floppy on this one. So like, why not take a shot on that underdog? So the real play here, I want to make some money here. Is I think I'm going to take some of these overs. I like the over 1.5. I like the over 2.5. Probably even fight starts round 3. But basically what it comes down to is if Brunson has his way, he's going to score some takedowns and neutralize this thing for a few rounds. If Kevin Holland's able to catch him later, okay, I'll hit a couple of my early rounds. If Brunson's going to win this fight, it's going 4th. It might go 5th. It might even be a Brunson by decision, which is like plus 305, I think. But all the same, I think it's going to bank in a couple rounds. So what I feel more comfortable with is over 1.5, over 2.5, maybe even the over 3.5, not quite that far. And then shit, man, it sounds like I talked myself into a Brunson bet, but I don't love it. It's super low confidence. As you can see, I did my best job to kind of break it down from my perspective, but wrestling's key here. And he's just got to go out there and fight the proper game plan. I think that Kevin Holland buddying with him today, it's like, if this ends up being more of a sparring session, we're going to go out there and play touch butt and have a good time. Brunson's going to score some takedowns and it's going to work for him, right? If it's a serious fight to the death, who wants it more? Maybe Kevin Holland catches him, but he didn't really seem to give off that appearance to me. So last but not least, we're here to talk about weigh-ins, and Kevin Holland does this all the time, but he came in at 183, and like, I don't know, dude. I also expected him to be way taller than Brunson, but they appeared to be the same height. So again, I think if Brunson does get this guy down, it's going to be a tough go. So officially, I think I'm going to go Derek Brunson by decision. You guys can give me some heat if you want, but it's just the gut feeling I keep coming back to.
You ain't going to catch no heat from me, buddy, because I'm on Brunson too. But Guru, spit that fire.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's 2 untrustworthy guys, in my opinion, right? I mean, Kevin Holland, he's the new flavor of the week, I guess you could say. But even in his fights, like with Darren Stewart, I mean, we just saw Darren Stewart last week versus Eric Anders. I mean, it looked like Eric Anders was going to get a knockout in the first round, and he's in the 3rd round screaming in Kevin Holland's face and mouth, like beating the shit out of him. So it's like, that's a little bit of alarming, and his fight with Jacare was a great fight. I mean, the knockout was pretty cool, but I don't know. It was like that's like a meme knockout. It was kind of weird. It was like, I don't know how much stock you could really put into that. I'm not like, I feel like Jacare's chin might be gone because the way that he knocked him out that way, it was just, I don't know. I feel like it's super low percentage to expect that to happen. Yeah. So it's like, I do feel like Holland, he's has good jiu-jitsu. Like if you stay in his guard and if you can like mount him or you get into like a position where you can explode, he's really good at, creating scrambles and, kind of like if you take his back, he does a good job of, getting out of that position, getting on top. So he kind of could scramble a little bit, but I feel like if you get heavy and like half guard, like Thiago Santos did, or just use the crossface, throw short ground and pound, I don't think that necessarily Holland is going to have a lot of room to throw up submissions, and I don't think he's going to be super, aggressive trying to get back up to his feet. I think he's just going to kind of accept the position and talk shit and just kind of try to make it a fun fight. And I feel like also he doesn't really deal very well with forward pressure on the feet, which Brunson, he gives that all day. I mean, besides potentially landing that straight right hand down the middle or maybe landing a shot on the level change, I think that Brunson is going to be able to close the distance and at least get Holland backed up towards the cage where he could, get in on the body lock. And I feel like he's going to be the physically stronger guy. Holland's a guy that, talked about going to 170 before. I feel like he's not that big for middleweight. So I do feel like Brunson, if he can get on top of him, start to use his size. I think he's going to be able to maybe wear him down too. Obviously, Cody talked about, the cardio with Kevin Holland, and Holland this week was talking about, how he wants to be the co-main event king and all that. He doesn't want to fight 5 rounds. So, I mean, I don't know if that's kind of like he's just fucking around, but, I feel like Brunson, I mean, he's only lost to the best guys. So if Holland can get the win here and kind of prove that maybe he's taking that next step in his career, especially if it's like a dominant first round finish or something, then, maybe we'll have to reevaluate him. But for now, I'm actually going to go with Derek Brunson. I think he's going to be able to, use that up-down style where he could back you up and kind of blitz in, get you in the body lock, strike with you a little bit. And I feel like he'll be able to get the win here. So I'm going to go with Brunson.
Ooh, very interesting. Locke, who you going with?
I think the last time we all agreed on a main event underdog was Glover Teixeira, was I not?
I think you nailed it.
And I'm right there with you guys as well. I do have a bet on Derek Brunson here at plus 150. I think it's going to be the takedowns, right? It's the wrestling that's probably going to cause Kevin Holland the most trouble here. He does seem to slow down later in his fights. And, even in his most recent fights, the only one that's gone to the third round as of late was the Darren Stewart fight where he gets taken down and makes Darren Stewart look like a freaking NCAA wrestler. And he just can't even get off his back. Where's that black belt that he apparently has, right? He couldn't do anything with Darren Stewart on top of him, but it could also be attributed to the porous cardio that we couldn't see from Kevin Holland. Obviously, he did knock out Joaquin Buckley, I believe, the fight before that in the third round, but that's a fight that's going his way completely, right? He's able to keep Buckley on the outside, keep popping him on the outside, keeping him out there, and he didn't have much resistance to really deal with there. Like, he's just keeping him in there, and it's really when fighters start to feel a bit of stress is when they start to slow down in cardio and really start to feel it. And he felt the stress in the Darren Stewart fight. He felt the stress in the Gerald Mearshart fights, the fights that he's going later into fights with, and the fights aren't going his way. Things really start to get iffy for him. Derek Brunson, the guy's been looking great since his Elias Theodore fight, right? That's the one where I believe that was his first fight down at Sanford MMA, and we truly see this change in discipline from him. He's no longer that fighter that just runs forward with his chin in the air hoping to knock you out. It's not going to work out. He obviously learned that lesson. He knew he was getting up there in age. He's 37 now. He's like, if I have to make a run for the title, now or never. So let me go out there and see what I need to do to truly change the trajectory of my career. I believe he also used to be at Jackson Wink, and it never really panned out for him in terms of creating success off of working at that gym. So then he moves back to North Carolina, opens up his own gym, and then still goes on a bit of a tough run. Then he goes down to Sanford MMA, and he's like one of those diehards that's down in Sanford MMA, truly getting the work in, and he has great training partners to go up against. He's training daily, I think, with Brendan Allen, and that's obviously a good guy to have across from him, especially with the victory that Allen was able to get over Holland, I believe, over a year or a year and a half ago at this point in time. But I do like what Brunson brings to the table. He's way more disciplined on the feet. He throws solid combinations on the feet, stays busy enough, and then mixes in the takedowns when they present themselves. So if Holland isn't able to get him out in the first round or two, I think he's going to be in some trouble with Brunson being able to complete those takedowns, and possibly that poor cardio of Holland starts to show its head in rounds 3, 4, and 5, and we see Brunson either grind this out or get a late finish in round 4 or 5. Yeah, I like Brunson here, man. I think that the chin narrative on him is being a little bit overblown as well, just because of his prior, lack of discipline when it comes to fighting. He's going in there chin high in the air against freaking Israel Adesanya, chin high in the air against Jacare Souza, and gets clipped there too. We haven't seen him truly show much chin issues in his last couple fights. He's doing a good job of staying away from the big shots, and even when he gets hit, he's all there. He's not getting rocked and dropped and knocked out or anything anymore. So I like the discipline that we see from him, and I think that's the key. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is, after he pulls off that huge upset over Adman Shabazian the last time around, the first thing he does is yell it in the air, 3-0 Sanford MMA. Those are the first words you hear out of his mouth. And that's just a further attribution to, how well the work down at Sanford MMA is doing for him. He believes in it. He sees it coming to fruition for him. And now this is another spot for him to go out there and turn away a guy in Kevin Holland. That's the Guru said, the flavor of the week, the guy that everybody's talking about. So if Brunson's able to do that, that definitely puts him in a position in this top 7-ish range to go out there and hopefully maybe fight for a title in 2022 if he's able to put together another win or two, right? He has all the tools. He has the wrestling. His cardio looks on point. All those fights that went 3 rounds look like he could go another 2 if he needs to. So, I think the grappling is going to be a little bit too much for Holland here. I think we see Brunson get the takedowns, pass guard, nullify the black belt in jiu-jitsu from Kevin Holland. Again, either get a decision victory here or a round 4 or 5 finish. So I'll go with Brunson. Officially, I'll say round 5 KO.
I love it. Yeah, like I already said, man, I'm on Brunson as well. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. I see 2 outcomes for this fight. Kevin Holland's going to land that hard straight right at some point early in this fight, test that durability of Brunson, maybe knock him out round 1 or 2. But, man, if that does not come to fruition, Locke, you're talking about it, man. The Derek Brunson move to Sanford MMA. I feel like that's the total difference here. Derek Brunson, a guy that years ago would Naruto run in circles around the cage, taking shots on the chin. Now he's a guy calculated, focused, much better fight IQ. And I feel like Sanford MMA, Henry Hooft, they do such a good job of getting their guys in there and focusing on the weakness of the opponent. We all know the weakness for Kevin Holland is that takedown defense and his inability to get up when taken down, which, don't get me wrong, I feel like he showed some improvements, and I expect if he does get taken down, he's going to get up a few times. But it's that gas tank of Kevin Holland. I think if Brunson can stay out of danger, not eat big shots, the later this fight goes, and this is a 5-round fight, I feel like the pendulum absolutely begins to swing Derek Brunson. I think he's going to find that work. I think he's going to be able to get him down. I think he's going to hit him with some heavy ground and pound. I think Derek Brunson can finish this fight in the latter half if Kevin Holland hasn't just starched him on the feet in the first half. I feel like Derek Brunson as an underdog, man, this is some good value. I'm going to take the shot on Brunson as well.